Let's look at the political year ahead, right, for South Africa. It promises to be another busy one, especially on the political front as we head towards the anticipated local government elections. And let's give you a sense of what you can expect politically. We speak to a political analyst, Dr. Ongama Mtimka, who's joining us now to have a look ahead. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for your time. In fact, Happy New Year before we even start the conversation. So, tonight we're reporting on the delayed judgment as far as the Phala matter is concerned. And that's not only a story to look at legally, right? It's a story that we can look at politically. And I wonder, when you look ahead, right on that front, what is in store for us as South Africa?
Good evening to you, and blessings to you and your viewers for 2026. Yeah, so I would count that matter as one of the what's going to be interesting in the internal dynamics of the major political parties. And I think that that's one of the things we're going to be watching. One, the DA is going to its Congress, and this is the first one where it is part of government at a national level. And as we saw towards the end of 25, the stakes have become higher for DA office to the extent that what happened at government level, the shift in terms of Dion George and the role that he played was cited as one of the evidence of internal contestation within the Democratic Alliance. And I think that internal party contestation is going to be big this year. Obviously, the ANC is going to key provincial conferences, and those are important to judge in which way the waves are flowing towards the 2027 conference. And obviously, we've got the 2027 local government elections. But Phala, going back to your point, it doesn't so much affect the internal stability of the ANC to the extent that if the president goes, then it becomes if there's major developments that affect the standing of the president, he's already preparing an exit anyway, with news surfacing late last year of a favored candidate for him and former Minister current Minister of Mining Gwede Mantashe. So those are already pointing to changes politically that are preparing us for a post-Ramaphosa era.
So, you know, when you speak about the DA Congress, I'm going to get to the ANC in just a moment. I wonder, as the dynamics at play, you know, that we have seen, do they tell us of a secured John Steenhuisen, or is he on shaky ground?
I think John Steenhuisen is going to come back, notwithstanding what's going to be a very bruising campaign. The Democratic Alliance has not had factions grow to become so significant that they can undermine party stability. So I think that elite control still remains in that party, and notwithstanding impressions of a tough contestation, I think John will still survive in the sense that the elites in the DA will look at the stakes that are there in terms of its role in government and what instability would mean for its role in government, as well as remaining coherent going to local government elections, and decide not to have wholesale changes that may affect, perceptions about its stability. So on that score, I think John Steenhuisen is going to be fine.
So when you look at, the provincial, activities around the ANC are concerned, especially in the lead up to the local government elections, this is a party that has just come out of its NGC. It speaks about a national democratic revolution. One wonders, this coherence that we saw there at the NGC, can it be one that is seen provincially and even locally as they now prepare for the elections?
Very important, Bongi. You know, we've come to read both the rhetoric and the performance in a conference of the ANC to understand in which ways power is shifting. And you're quite right that coherence tells us about the preeminence of an incumbent group, also an orderly manner in which succession is managed. The opposite is also true. When we begin to see, for example, leaders being booed, some being cheered more than others, it tells us how ground is shifting. What the ANC is facing in this election year, being a local government election, is to try and convey a message to South Africans that the era of bruising factional battles that have come to be bigger than the party, or contrary to what I was saying about the Democratic Alliance, is now under control. And it becomes a difficult task for the ANC to do that because in 2007 at the Polokwane conference, it created a very messy principle of no two centers of power. So what that does is it links party office very strongly to a role in government and therefore entrenches a very brutal, a process of campaigning for office or retaining office. And that coherence, whether it's going to be sustained, is going to be interesting. And I'm saying this because the ANC needs to be a lot more mature in terms of how it manages contestation for office, both for political office as well as local government office. At a local government level, the processes that Kgalema Motlanthe, former president, has been running have in fact been guinea pigs for how you can do campaigns in a very orderly manner. For example, we saw how there's even the introduction of standards in 21, and it seems that a lot more, procedures have been introduced towards the end of last year. That will influence again how you campaign for office and secure office at a local government level. They need to ensure that those same processes are brought to the level of the political party.
So quickly, before I let you go, though, the MK party, right, it's going into the local government elections, and we've seen what has happened even at national level as well, the movements there. We've seen the developments in KwaZulu-Natal as far as the legislature is concerned. So as a party, have they been an effective official opposition? And also, when you look at their campaign towards the local government elections, what are you seeing?
So, interestingly, the MK party has been more at war with itself than it has focused on the business of government. And I think that that's going to be something which voters are going to be looking at and questioning to what extent are the party elites there, including all the way up to President Zuma, committed to building a sustainable organization beyond the networks of the elites that are close to President Zuma. They have completely failed to create an impression of building a sustainable organization. Organizationally, they have had too much chaos, which vindicates some of us for advancing the idea that to have formed a so-called a coalition of black parties was not going to work because these parties couldn't stay together in the ANC. And so they splintered. And I think that that position has been vindicated in the first year of the MK party in office. We would be down to I don't know how many ministers would have been changed if they were part of the coalition. So they are facing a challenge of strengthening organizational culture and making sure that these instabilities that arise from too much movement of people are curbed so that they can focus on the business of being in opposition, both in the National Assembly and, interesting, what they're trying to do in KZN, toppling the existing government. I mean, imagine if the MK party were governing or leading the provincial government in KZN, how many premiers would have been fired at this stage, So their organizational character leaves much to be desired and negates whatever message they may be trying to send about their commitment to governing for the people.
An interesting political year ahead. Thank you so much for chatting to us, Ongama. Appreciate it. That was political analyst Dr. Ongama Mtimka.